It's time to follow the money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard. Only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Sirius XM Channel 204.
Thanks for checking in. Live here early on a Wednesday in Las Vegas, South Point Sportsbook from the glorious VSiN Studios. At the bottom of the hour, we will talk college football and get some NFL picks with longtime sports bettor and friend of the show, Mark Lawrence. This will be great. I'm hoping for it to be great anyway. Come on, let's go.
It'll be interesting. I'll tell you that.
Story time with Pauly here continues. For those of you that caught the story last week, you know what we're talking about here. His ex hit for millions. If you're just fresh to the VSiN, by the way, Paul, how would you like to set this up? Right? If they missed the story last week, your ex hit for millions.
Too bad.
Yeah,
it was 17 minutes. What am I going to have?
Yeah, it was 2000.
It was ad-libbed that I went on for 15 minutes and there was a part two.
Okay, so Doug Marsh joins us in studio. Good to see you, pal. How are you?
Thank you. Good. Doing well.
So you were Pauly's program director at the time when this happened in 2012.
Yeah, I like to say boss.
You were his manager. You were his boss.
Yes. More than a manager.
Can you take us back
Life coach.
to the early phone calls that you received, the discussions that you had with Paul right after this happened?
Yes. As Paul has now said, I was the second phone call. And Paul, I'll do my bad Pauly impersonation here. Hey, Doug, it's me. Like I didn't know who it was just by that. You know, I don't have a lot of people call me like that. First of all, I thought he had won it by the way he did it. I thought he had pulled the actual handle, which turned out not to be the case. But the key was he told me, you know, what had happened, which was amazing. He told me I could not tell anybody. And you used to work at the same place that Paul and I worked at the time. And the holiday party was coming up. So forget about work for a minute, because you know how important that holiday party is at the place that we all used to work at. I mean, that's more important than
Showing
work.
up in time for work, yeah.
That's more important than anything.
It was the following week.
Right.
It happened on a Friday. It was going to happen then. Okay. Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
So I go, because he's like, I can't come to work. I need some time to think of things, which I thought was reasonable. I mean, I knew the amount of money and everything, so I thought that was reasonable. But you can't tell anybody why I'm not going to work, which for a short period of time, that's no problem. Except I had to come up with my boss wanted to know why he could not make the holiday party. So I believe that, I don't think that happened on the first call, because I called back and said, are you still going to be able to make the holiday party? And Pauly goes, I will not be able to make the holiday party for security reasons, for my own security reasons. I'm like, own security reasons? What are you talking about? Right? I mean, what were you that's the thing I never followed up. Why was it security reasons?
There were a lot of bozos who I worked with, and that loose lip. I got to give you full marks, by the way. You can keep a secret. I mean, that was impressive, along with Mitch too.
Oh,
but
Mitch
I didn't trust anybody, and that was one of the first things I had the lawyer do, was to send a letter over saying, "Listen, you guys are good. I don't want anyone saying anything, because it wasn't not that. If it was me, okay, that's different. I was a public figure. She was anonymous. She wasn't a public figure. She was a private person. So I didn't know. I was paranoid. I didn't know what was going on about. You could just go up and look where I lived if some idiot would show up." I had a friend come over with a gun to the house. I didn't know how to handle this. So
what?
That was.
Put it this way: since Pauly first told the story last week, my phone has been bombarded with text messages by people that we also worked with in kind of this inner circle that we have.
Right.
They told me I did not live here at the time. They said Pauly was so paranoid, Mitch, you have no idea.
He was paranoid, and I guess I can understand that. I had more heat put on me from the bosses about him missing the holiday party
than actually him missing
a week of work.
Okay.
Ridiculous. Wow. Unbelievable.
But okay, so that's
who gives a shit?
Is that acceptable, by the way?
Wait a second. As your boss, I don't think you can say that.
So you're his boss, but technically, again, you have upper management that you have to talk to as well. So you don't have to actually give him. You're not obligated by law to actually tell him.
No,
tell
you
your
don't
boss
have to,
what
because
happened.
You can do personal reasons and things like that.
You can just go, okay,
right.
yeah,
and
they have to take your word for it then.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, in that respect, and I don't think how much longer was it until you told the big boss? It wasn't that much longer. Was it after the holiday party that you finally said the reason when you sent over the legal forms for us to sign?
2 or 3 weeks.
Doug, you're great at keeping a secret. By the way, sign this now.
I don't know what happened.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I know what happened. I get it I get called in.
Okay.
Following up on that.
I never heard this story.
So all of a sudden, I had told Pauly I will not tell anybody. I did not tell anybody. All of a sudden, I get called into the big boss's office. Yeah, Doug, we need you to come in here. Got this in the email from Paul's lawyer. You need to sign this. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess my word of not saying anything.
I don't know.
I
I don't know.
Oh, of course not.
So,
by
not
that
a
time
shot
you
at
had
you.
people.
I don't know. I don't know
By
how
that time
this
you had
works.
people, right, Paul?
You know how this works.
Well, I had a lawyer, my housekeeper. I mean, if my housekeeper cleans up some stuff, it's not on me. That's my housekeeper.
And she sees I'm wasting my money on $5,000 parlays. What the hell's going on here? Where'd you come into this money at? But so you had to sign this agreement, though, and
As did
still
one
so-
other person. As did the big boss.
now I get it. It makes sense now. Is this so people would not just gossip and talk, or was this because at a radio station, like Pauly and the lawyer said, well, the ex here, right? She's private, so nope, we don't want. Because people would say anything
former.
at this station. People are, and you know this, right? They would say anything on the air, and they would run with details, and they would make shit up all the time, right?
Yes.
And make it sound like, hey, this is. So anyway, long story short, here he didn't want anything like this getting across the airwaves.
Correct. He didn't want that information getting across the airwaves, which like I said, I could understand that too. I don't understand how that's the one thing I didn't understand when I was signing that, how once it got out, he didn't make everybody on air sign an NDA. So, I mean, I couldn't say anything, but I wasn't on the air at the time.
That's boy, you were really lucky.
Boy, that
I
lawyer.
would guess.
Wow. I was under the impression it was for on-air staff, right?
I don't think anybody signed it except myself and the big boss.
Interesting.
From what I understand,
very
yeah.
good.
So you might want to get a slight refund from that lawyer.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
Even though it all worked out. But, Paul in his he goes, let me take you out. I must take you out to dinner. You are a good friend who I see once every 4 years. I must take you out to dinner. So this is during the holiday time. All my family's in town. I'm eating huge. I go, can we just put it off till afterwards? Now, I think looking back in his paranoia, I think maybe he thought he would be living in where?
That's the other thing, because she's from California.
So you thought
She
you would
wanted
be
to
gone?
move. I thought I'd be. She was. Yeah, the whole family was
So he
talking
goes,
about it.
no, you must go to dinner with me. You must.
Well, that also this is going to be my face-to-face resignation as well.
Yes, the face-to-face resignation. By the way, just so everybody here at Thiessen knows, if he hits something big, don't expect 2 weeks' notice. In fact, don't expect
Absolutely.
Don't expect
Why
2
would you?
minutes' notice.
Why would you?
Why
Yeah,
would
but
you?
people were upset. That's
Common
like, what-
courtee. People were upset.
I gave you 2 weeks. I gave you 2
was
weeks.
Upset.
Ah, for Christ's sake.
You got
2 weeks. Thanks. I got the vacation pay too. Oh yeah. Come on. High five.
You owe me another dinner?
Yeah.
The first dinner? Because the thing
You ordered a
is,
salad for Christ. I said, get whatever you want.
we were
You
at
got
a very
a
fancy.
salad.
He did take me to a very nice restaurant. But I'm stuffed. I've been eating leftovers and everything. I'm like, I can't eat. I'm
I get your
physically.
English. So you only wanted the salad.
I'm physically
That's what
ill,
he
so I
said.
get the salad.
I go get whatever you want. He goes, I'll have a salad.
Now, we are all Seinfeld fans, and I did reference that. I go, now, this does not count as my meal, right? This counts as your meal. This is your meal. This is. But the difference is, I
Did his
didn't
lawyer
want to
have you
be at
sign
that
that?
meal. Huh?
Did his lawyer have you sign that though?
Right. NDA and a salad clause. It was all airtight. So, in essence, I guess your lawyer did a good job. But there it is. Yeah. And then, well, Doug, I don't think I'll be coming to work.
After how long was that decision made?
Well, that was Well, he never came back because he couldn't sign
I
off.
knew I was quitting when I was driving to the casino that night.
Like if it was legit?
Yes,
Yeah.
I was working with a clown, and I told them I told how many times did I tell them? Will you give me someone to work with? Come on, please. I'm sick of working with this guy. I must have told him 10 times. Can I get a different part?
10 times.
This isn't working.
10 times a day.
Right. You know. I'm like, this is not.
By the way, I've been talking to
chemistry's-
some of the set. Mitch, he says the same thing about you. 10 times a day.
I'm not surprised.
No.
So they
No, you
couldn't
did do
be
that,
surprised.
but
I was
I-
fed up to begin with, and then this happened. It's like, okay.
So then he wins millions and millions of dollars, or his ex does at the time, and I'm sitting there with nobody to co-host
To
the show.
fill in for him.
Yeah, I
Basically.
have to fill in for him.
You have no idea what to do at this point.
I had 2 co-hosts.
Like, yeah.
You're all right.
Okay.
No?
Okay.
Well, I guess to
Well,
Paul's point, then that look on your face is like, no, you didn't.
Okay.
Well,
That's management's problem.
well, you were the lead.
They were enablers.
It's just like if something happened to Mitch, this show would fall apart because he's the lead.
all right.
I mean, it all.
Were you
goes
mad at
together.
him though?
I was not
But
mad, but
because
just
here-
like a parent.
Here's the problem. though.
Disappointed.
Here's the problem, though.
Just a little
and this is
disappointed
the
for 2
issue here.
weeks.
Because as the program director, as part of management, you were actually Pauly's friend, and that's the problem, right? When you don't have a separation there of business and friendship, right? Because if you were never his friend, you wouldn't be as emotionally as attached to the story as you were. And you were like, because you expected, you wanted him to tell you, like, Paul, I need an answer right now. You were conflicted.
There is something, but I don't think the friendship had anything to do with it. And you know
Fine,
what?
fair enough.
In the back of my mind, I was thinking if I had won that, I probably would have done pretty much the same.
How many people are going to give 2 weeks?
Yeah, that was.
How many people ever in the history
I
of the
don't
world are going to
understand.
say
But
that?
at the time, I was mad. At the time, I was disappointed. I was like, "Come on, man!
You couldn't get a hold of me and all that. There was issues getting a hold of me.
Yeah, somehow there were issues getting a hold of him too.
I don't
wonder
recall
why.
that.
He was probably jetting to Bora Bora, but now I hear he couldn't even fly first class to New York. So yeah,
Well, it was years later.
It's bad back.
Sure, absolutely. The guy at where she worked, the food and beverage guy was mad at her. He's like, well, what are you?
Well, yeah.
I mean, what?
No, that's-
all this. I'm sorry. Common courtesy and all this shit goes out the window when that happens. Who's going to sit there? Oh, sorry. Got to go back to work and do the 9 to 5 grind.
I will
Gotta
say
put my
this.
2 weeks notice in.
I did give you 2 pieces of advice at that dinner. Do you remember that?
No.
Because I was
Clearly, he did not.
You know what also happened? This is the kind of run I was on. I think it happened 17 times in 2 months, 17, 18 times. I hit a royal flush waiting for him.
Yes, that was the other thing I was going to say.
Oh.
I've lived in Vegas since '98. How many royal flushes have I hit, Mitch? Not that I gamble a lot, but
Zero.
zero. This clown just hit a mega million thing. He's waiting for me. He gets to the casino early to buy me a salad that I'm not even hungry for.
He forced you to go to dinner with him.
Forcing me to go to dinner.
It's now or never, Doug. Right?
Right. Yeah, this is my one shot to have dinner. And I'm sitting there at the table. One piece of advice that I give him is, you know, Paul, you've hit it. Stop gambling. And he's sitting there smugly. Well, you know, I just hit a royal flush outside. Oh, my God! I've never. And he hits a royal flush minutes before he meets me to pay me for my salad.
Doug.
Take me out for salad.
A month ago on this show, he was late.
Oh, I know.
Oh, you heard the story then? Yeah.
I heard the story.
Just get out of here for 1 second.
By the way-
he goes and plays right away, hits for 5,000.
They say the early bird gets a worm. I was here early because I woke up before the alarm. I thought, I'll try a little Pauly luck. No, lost my money. Lost $20 just like that.
I've been here since 01. I've hit 1 royal flush. 1.
Yeah.
You think
This guy.
She just takes the cake.
And yet
In
it's a
terms of
bad beat.
luckiest person I've ever seen though. With that, I don't know what the odds are. What she did. But then we were at the Cosmo at the high limit one time. She found a $100 bill laying on the ground. Picked it up, put it in the machine, first hand jackpot.
Yeah.
I mean, this is off the charts. What's happening? to her.
I'll tell you should go play Mega Millions all the time or something. I mean, you do have the lucky touch. But
I
must
wasn't
get
there,
in.
Doug. I was not there when it happened.
I
No,
could
did
not. Well, you give me the money to go buy it or something like that.
Okay.
But the second piece of advice, I said stop gambling. Obviously, he did not take that piece of advice.
Yeah,
and the
went to work
second
for a
piece of
gambling
advice
network,
was get that money, because at that time you were also talking to another big radio host, and he and I gave you the same advice. Get that money managed and into the stock market, which you took, right?
Oh,
Hopefully.
absolutely, yeah.
Right. So at that point.
She doesn't work and she makes 6 figures.
Yeah, live off. I said live off
Yep.
the interest. Don't live off.
Yep.
You know.
Good call.
So that.
That call was made immediately. That call was done as well. Good job.
Yeah. And I got a beautiful salad to have it.
That's the one thing that you got out of the whole deal.
That's the one thing and you
haven't seen him since, basically.
Well,
Yeah,
I've seen him a
yeah.
few times. never for dinner. But I will say this: the good ending of the story is, you would probably never be here right now hosting this if it hadn't been for that. Because with his position going,
Yeah.
if you recall, you were living in another market at the time, and through vigorous interview process, I was the boss. And I hired you to take over his slot, basically. And there we go. And the rest is VSiN history.
Full circle, huh?
I forgot about that too.
Yeah.
Good job.
And yet you make me get up at an ungodly hour to come on because I can't.
I actually return your phone calls.
Well, that's a good point. Yes. You return my phone calls,
Yeah.
and you have taken me out for, I think
Yeah.
because I hired you, I think you took me out to a nice dinner, not during
I owe you
the
2.
holiday season.
I'll go you 2. We'll go with Joe's. We'll go to Joe's. We'll go to a T-Bones. You have a do-over at T-Bones, although I said get whatever you want. You got a salad. And then you can be part of the Rhino party, too, if UAB wins Conference USA.
All right.
You can get in on that as well. You want in on that, too?
I went in on all three.
Okay,
That's
there
the
you go.
trifecta of fun.
I got to tell you, though, like Paul has said repeatedly so far this morning, great job out of you. If truly, right, that's the way it goes, like he gets the lawyer involved. Doug, look, you can't say one word.
He didn't.
And for him to rely on you to put that in the vault and not say anything, to keep it a secret, that's incredible.
Well, that's.
Did you even tell your wife?
No.
Your wife worked
No,
at the radio
no,
station.
right?
You never told
You're
your
kidding
wife?
me.
There are things,
Wow.
and she understands. Unlike some other people. She understands there are certain things that it's not her business, and the same would go to me. If that was nobody's business, that was only Paul's business at the time.
I hear you have a bad poker face, though. Somebody was hearing rumors, and they're like, "Hey, is this true?" And you're like turned away. So he pretty much knew by the expression on
Do
your
I
face.
play poker?
That's right. That was good. You're the opposite of Timmy Fitz, who I know we got that tweet. His dad was running his mouth at some of the poker tables around town. It's like, what are you doing, man? Oh, don't say anything. I go, what did I tell you? Oh, yeah, I got it. I told you 3 times. Don't run your mouth. I mean, I heard you spent this much on furniture from total strangers. Like, Fitz, keep your mouth shut.
Well, see, this is why Doug is so likable, and we'll go to break here coming up in a second. But follow him on Twitter. You changed your Twitter handle because you're running for office.
Well, I was, yeah. Came in third in a 3-person race. It's Doug Marsh, 2018.
Okay, but this is why I think people truly will appreciate who you are as a human being, not because of all of this. Well, tied this in, Doug Marsh broke off an engagement one time, true story, because the ex, right?
Yeah.
Was always late. Always.
Won't put up with it. And she was late and wouldn't win $5,000. I mean, if she always came in with $5,000.
And you told her, because you're very, you're strict on this, right?
Yeah.
Today we said, Doug, can you be in at 5 o'clock? You're here at 4:30. You're always early, right?
Yes.
And she was always late. Always. 5, 10, 15, whatever, half an hour. And you gave her a warning. Like, look, this is not going to last, right?
I gave her many warnings.
Yeah, and she kept being late. And you're like, done. See you later.
And it was back far enough. She actually had a cell phone. And I thought, can you at least give me a call? Nothing. You also don't give gifts for Valentine's Day, birthdays, Christmas, any of this. No, I do. Christmas.
What's your stance on that? The date on the calendar shouldn't dictate the love I have for you?
Bingo.
All right, knuckle bang.
When my wife gets flowers from me, it's because it's a special occasion, not because the date on the calendar.
Very good.
Now, she hasn't gotten any flowers in about 5-6 years, but boy, she's waiting for those flowers, I'll tell you that.
And one thing in my defense, you couldn't have been surprised with my behavior, though. I'm aloof and you couldn't have been surprised.
Just disappointed.
Okay.
Still to this day.
I don't blame you.
We'll continue up next because we actually won the Last Man Standing back in 2006 together. We'll go over some strategy with this.
I like this.
And you have a very cool book coming out as well. A jack of all trades here as we continue on VSiN.
Your search is over. You found Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on Sirius XM 204. Now listen up for Winformation.
In 10 minutes, longtime sports bettor Mark Lawrence joins the program. We will get into Cincinnati, Central Florida, Iowa State, Texas, some other college games, and a few in the NFL as well. We continue with Doug Marsh. He was Pauly's program director back in 2012 when Pauly's ex hit for millions of dollars here in Las Vegas, and what that conversation and that whole time frame was like for 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever it took. And Pauly never made it back to the show. Never did one more show ever, did he?
Yep. No, he was out.
Okay, so you and I also won Last Man Standing back in 2006.
That is correct.
The college and the NFL are still alive right now. Think about that. We won it in week 9. They're still going. When we won that thing, we split less than $18,000. So about $17,600 that we walked out of there with. Now it's up to, almost $90,000 in the NFL and about $56,000 in college football.
Well, it amazingly jumped big time the year after we won it.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it at
amazingly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Imagine that, right? Do you recall, if anybody's listening right now that is still alive, not that they're going to take advice from us on this, obviously, because they're cruising along quite swimmingly on their own, but do you recall what it was like down the stretch when we were eventually going to win this thing?
Oh, yeah. I also recall when we won it, where I was, which was kind of unusual because I was at the game.
You're at the game that we won.
I was at the game that decided that we won. But going back to it, that was, of course, the Raiders versus the Seahawks. Mm-hmm. And we took the Seahawks. And remember, didn't we get a call saying that the other person wanted to split it?
We did.
And we said, no, we don't want to do that because we knew we had to split it.
Because it got down to 2.
Right.
So it wasn't like down to 4. 3 people were eliminated, and we happened to win. It was down to 2, and that person had
Miami, Chicago.
They had the Bears, and they were laying like 13.5 at home because the Bears were really good that year, and the Dolphins went there and beat them outright, killed them.
Beat them outright. So we knew we were either going to split because it was a Monday night game up in Seattle. We knew we were either going to split or we were going to win outright. Everybody in my family, I was up there with a bunch of Oakland Raider fans because my family has season tickets to Oakland Raiders, and we used to always do an away trip. So that was the away trip. So I'm sitting there with, of course, the huge bet on the Seahawks.
And they didn't know.
They had no idea. No, these are real Raider fans. Real Raider fans, you don't want to let them know.
So again, tight-lipped here in the vault. You couldn't even tell the people that you were with that were on the precipice of winning $18,000 because we had the Seahawks.
Couldn't say a word. When the game is over, of course, my phone is blowing up because you and, so they were all sad and everything. I walk back to the hotel. I'm like, no, I'm good. And in the hotel, I'm like, yes, calling, yeah, we won. In my full Raider garb.
And I'll be honest, again, that final week that we won, there was really not even that much of an argument on which game it was going to be.
Which was unusual.
Because we would have our weekly in-person conversations, and we would pick the games that we would like, right, on our own, and then we would say, okay, I like this team.
And rank them.
And then if one of us would say, I got to tell you, you're not going to win me over on that one, we would cross that one off. And then so we would kind of narrow it down to which games we'd like together and then talk about it at the very end. The final week, you just said, Mitch, trust me on this. The Seahawks are not going to blow it for us. That was pretty simple. And you gave me the reasons why, and I listened, like, I'm on board. Let's go with the Seahawks, and they covered for us. But leading into that, though, there was 1 week, I think it was the week before, where the Patriots were in a Monday night game against the Vikings.
Yes.
And so this was down to, a handful of people still. And when you're trying to eliminate games that you want nothing to do with, remember this conversation?
Oh, I remember.
We said, if we're going to go to war, right, who do we trust more in the NFL? And this is 2006. More than a decade ago at that point. And we're like, Brady and Belichick, less than a field goal against Minnesota. They weren't very good. Like, if we lose, I have no problem losing with Brady and Belichick.
Well, and
they killed them that night.
Yep. And, in fact, we were watching at your remote at the time, if you recall. We were watching at a...
You can... strip club, yeah.
Well, I don't know if I can say that, but you can say that. Okay. Well, you were watching at a strip club. I was remotely there. But it was... that's the whole thing. That was one of the strategies. When you said, what are some of the strategies, we would, when in doubt, go with the smarter coach at the time.
All right.
That's thing number one.
That came down to it that week.
No, but that was...
Better quarterback, good coach. Yeah.
But that was kind of a theme. But also, you would have never won without me, and I would have never won without you. I think in a perfect world, because I still remember I was on a trip in Mexico one time, and we were talking on a cell phone. I was on a plane in Mexico, and I had the perfect... I forget who it was, but I had the perfect team. I said, no, we have to go with this. And you said, no, we have to go with this.
No, that actually did happen at least twice, where you talked me out of a game.
Yep.
And
it was your number one game.
Had we gone with my game, we were going to be a loser, and it happened vice versa as well.
Well, and don't forget, just so you know, there is a lot of luck involved. The first week, you were on a plane to Hawaii, I believe.
That's right, for the UNLV Hawaii game.
Boy, we used to travel a lot, didn't we? What's going on now?
The days.
You were on a... So I had to do a pick, and I still remember being at the book, and I was looking up at the thing, and I go, we'll just take the Colts. The Colts won by 0.5 point, the hook.
So there wasn't exactly...
Week 1, we won by the hook.
Great strategy.
Wow.
That was a dartboard throw in week 1.
Dartboard throw in week 1.
Good for you. What was your hedging philosophy? How many times did you do it, and how were you aware, and when were you aware of what other people had, who was left? All that kind of business. Because we got into this a little bit, but I know Gil's talked about it, how they run this contest now. And the guy who came up with it, they took it out of his hands.
Yeah.
And now it's, there are we don't even know.
Yeah.
We do not know until later today.
Oh, they don't tell you anything?
They don't tell you.
Because it used to be when we were doing it, when you would get the sheet, first of all, you would know the next week there's 128 remaining. They don't do that anymore?
No, they know how many... people
going
are
in.
left,
You go going in.
but they don't post the plays at all public anywhere. Nothing.
Yeah, you have no idea.
You have no
Who
idea.
are you up against? How many people are left? What's the strategy?
No, that's what I'm saying. Back in the day, they had on there how many people were left on the sheets. That were so when you went in the next week on I believe by the time it was like a Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
Wednesday morning, Mitch would be working and I'd be off during doing my stuff because of my different hours, and I would call him up and say, okay, there's 256 left. Oh, there's 111 left. I remember then it got down to 8. I think.
It was 8 or 9, yeah.
8 or 9 with 4 weeks remaining until we won. So you knew because it was right on the sheet. I can't believe I didn't do it this year. So they don't do that anymore? That's amazing. But as for hedging, I never hedge. I don't hedge.
Well, that's a joke, though.
Which is
if
probably
you don't know, you should go. If there are 5 people left, you should know who's left and who they have.
Well, no.
Once the picks are turned in. Yes, you should.
Oh,
That's just like the Super Contest.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Saturday afternoon who all the picks are.
Nah, I disagree
What do you mean?
there.
What?
You should.
Oh, that's not how you run a contest.
No, that's going back to anonymity. Why should you know that I'm still in the contest unless I say I'm in the contest?
Well, no,
it's
no.
not
Oh,
like
no. I don't care who the person is.
No, not the. No.
I just want to know.
okay.
I want to know the exact number of entries, and let's say there
their
are
picks going in. Okay.
Yeah, right. So there's 3 picks, right, left
That
on the
makes
board.
sense,
I
yeah.
want to know if this person has the Falcons, the Cowboys, the Eagles, whoever they have. I want to know that stuff.
Imagine if you won.
Understood.
Imagine if you won Saturday and there were 15 people left. You have to wait until today to find out how many people are left. I mean, it's Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, that's
It's a total
kind of your generation now, Pauly. Everything has to be immediate. You got to know. Back in my day, you had to wait, and there's something about the wait that makes it more sweet.
Okay, sure.
You wait for that peach to ripen. It's a delicious peach.
So you would never. If
You
no-
eat it early. It's dry, and you don't appreciate it. Ah!
I mean, imagine there's 3 people left, and you're sitting there, and you're one of the 3. You're like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, you want to know.
I
if
don't
you
know.
can
I
hedge
can't-
out
I-
your
Well, sure, you
spot.
want to know, but that's the world we live in today. It's also cool. Like I said, honestly, you pick up back in the day, you'd pick up the phone, you had no idea who it was.
Well, you were also when we won that, and again, Doug, you can come on. Let's be honest. Where we were at when we won that day, not exactly the best location in the entire city, right?
right when we got the money.
A little seedy,
Correct.
right? So you're walking around in the middle of the day with like $9,000, just fanning it out. Look at the woo, and you had it in your mouth, and you're like, "Look at me, everybody! Woo! Look at this. Have some fun." I'm like, Doug, nice awareness out of you to recognize exactly where we're at. And I asked for security getting out of there. I couldn't
did.
wait to run to the bank. I was hiding it in my.
They gave you security?
They did.
Unlike Paul Stone,
Yeah.
poor guy.
They walked
Nah,
us-
you're
they-
fine.
The security guy was what? Over under 68. I'll set the line at
Who's he
68.
stopping?
Gigantic. Yeah, huge limp. I mean, it's
not an
eh,
exaggeration.
Okay, if somebody comes out of so
Right. He did have a sidearm.
All right. So, any advice for people who are still alive down with this less than 10? Would you?
Well-
I like your advice about if you're going down swinging.
Exactly.
Bet a good coach. Bet a good.
When
team.
in doubt, and also look at psychological factors. And I think Mitch and I decided we never went with the biggest point spread taking the favorite. Never do that.
well, there were some weeks where we said we're on a team that was catching like 13.5.
Right.
Can you imagine bowing out of this contest with this horrible team in the NFL? No, thank you.
Usually the extremes on either side we kind of got rid of, to be honest. You start looking
but it was
for
good.
the middle.
And we panicked though a lot down in the last couple of weeks, right? I mean,
yeah.
My blood pressure was 180 over 110, whatever it was. It was crazy.
Oh, it was one of the most interesting times to watch football. It's amazing how action can do that, isn't it?
Yeah, no kidding, right? Okay, last thing, you have a book coming out
Yep.
in December.
Correct.
This is pretty wild, actually, because go ahead, tell.
Well, it's called Never Sold Out. It's about the 90s secondary ticket market. Now we have StubHub. Now we have Ticketmaster, which actually is a secondary market on its own now. But back in the day, it wasn't quite like that. The person that I used to work with. He lives up in Carlo Bergola is his name, and he and I wrote about some of it. We fictionalized it.
Wink, wink.
Yeah. No winks. The lawyer says I can't wink. But anyway, so yeah, Never Sold Out. It's coming out in a few weeks. It'll be on Amazon all over.
And this is in the 80s in Los Angeles.
90. Thank you for listening. The 90s secondary ticket market.
90s. Sorry, yeah, 90s in Los Angeles.
Southern California, which includes Los Angeles. Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
So, in fact, it's kind of funny because there's a story about a fiance of mine and how we broke up due to Ducks tickets and her always being late.
That's in the book.
That's in the book. But it's all fictionalized, of course.
Excellent. All right.
So I'm looking forward to my 3 dinners now, right? 2 dinners and one.
No, you get 2 in a strip club trip.
Okay, 2 in a strip club.
Is that
Unless
better?
you want to get a hamburger at the strip club, that counts. So you want to do that too.
That's in. No ordering a salad there.
No,
It's on you.
I always
Skimmer
try to
Rhino.
skip
It's
the
on you.
salad. I don't like to eat the tossed salad at a strip club.
He's on Twitter at Doug Marsh 2018.
You know, I met Baniel one time, and I go, his super meal. He got pissed at me. He goes, "Oh, you went right into that one."
Yeah,
didn't you?"
really?
You didn't like that?
Oh, come on. That's what you're known for.
It's, I know it's on all the time too. Like even
He
had
makes
to
a
admit it.
living off of that.
I know.
Give me a break.
It's a great line.
Up next, thanks, Doug, by the way. Thanks for coming in. Good stuff.
No thanks.
Mark Lawrence. We'll get some college football picks and looking at a couple of games in the NFL with Mark coming up next here on VSiN.